I do it all the time, and I think it's pretty dope. But I do the sauna session. After I'm done with my sauna session, obviously I take a little break after my workout, and now I, have my protein shake. Once I'm done with that, then I go into, now tapping into the spiritual side, which is, I spend 10 minutes in visualization. All right. Then I read for about 20 to 30 minutes. And when I talk about reading, guys, I want you guys to really understand this. Okay. I'm spending a lot of time on this specific one right here because this is the key. Without this, we got nothing else. Right. So part of getting myself to the optimum state is reading the right books. And you got to think about what stage you're in your life right now. Okay, or you're in a stage right now where you need to develop leadership. Okay, if you're wanting to develop your leadership, then you should be reading leadership books, right? If you're in a stage right now in your life where you need to be, a lot more disciplined, you need to be reading books on discipline. If you're in a stage in your life where you want to get better at business, you want to get better at sales, then you should be reading books that have to do with the area in your life that you want to get better in this specific time in your life. This is so important. Don't just read any random book because you heard that it's good, okay? Which I'm sure a book is a book. Reading is great. But if you want to be intentional about your reading, focus on what area in your life right now you need to work on and read books on that so that you can start to strengthen those areas and grow confident in those areas. So reading is key. And then journaling is important for me. As you guys know, I'm huge into journaling. Now, there's multiple different ways to journal, guys. I should actually do a podcast on how to journal and the different ways to journal. But, sometimes I just write about, what I'm grateful for, how I'm feeling at the moment. I like to do something called scripting. Scripting is basically when you write a journal entry in the perspective that it is already done. Okay. So it's writing from the end in mind. So for example, if your goal is to make an extra $10,000 a month, let's say as an example, writing it from the perspective that you're already earning it. Like you're already living in the moment of I'm already earning the 10K a month. And what does it feel like? For example, today I woke up and I feel so blessed and grateful that I am earning $10,000 a month. All my bills are paid, all my rent is paid. It feels amazing to earn over $2,500 a week. I'm taking care of my family. I'm investing into great, you know, different investments and startups. My team is growing this, that. Like you can start writing it from the perspective that it's already done and talk about what you're doing with your money. Okay. Talk about the things that you've always wanted to do. Now you're traveling. Now you're sitting first class. All your debt is paid off. Like you can sit down and create that reality and write it down in the perspective that it's already done. So that's one of my favorite things to do. I script at least 1 or 2 times a week. But I also do other things like forgiveness letters, forgiving myself for the things that I'm not doing, or congratulations letters, congratulating myself, speeches that I'm going to give on stages. So it's all different things, but I love to journal every day, even if it's just for some gratitude and to write my goals down. And then last but not least, I love to listen to audios. I listen to majority of my audios and my podcasts while I'm working out. While I'm on a run, while I'm on the treadmill, whatever it is, I'm always listening, always listening. But it's not just listening in the morning, listening throughout the day. If you go in your car, turn your car into a podcast studio. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have your headphones on, you're in the train, you're going somewhere, whatever it is, you're in the bus, put your podcast in your ears, right? Let's stop the listening to the music, right? Not that music is bad, because music is actually one of the ways to raise your vibration if you listen to one of your favorite songs. But I think if we can start to spend less time listening to music and more time listening to information that can change our lives, especially at the beginning of our journey, I think it could be very, very valuable to your health. It can be very valuable to your mindset. And it could be very valuable to everybody around you. So listening to podcasts and audios are key. And if you want to add any extras in there, spending some time in the sun for sun gazing, sunbathing, you want to add breath work in there. I know how important breath work is. I know people are huge on cold plunges as well, cold showers. Those are also really cool. Grounding, taking off your shoes and putting your feet in the grass. Those are also very great ways to add. Those are little extras that you can add. But guys, these are all things that I do. Now think about that. Think about person A and person B. Person A wakes up, they grab their phone, they get distracted with Instagram, and then they go about their day and they start to build their business. Person B wakes up, They do prayer, they do gratitude, they read their go kart out loud. They go in the gym, they do their Bible study, they're in the sauna, they read, they journal, they do all these things, they ground themselves, they do breath work. And I know that it may sound like a lot, but in reality, guys, you can do all of that within a 2 to 3 hour span. And I know it sounds like a lot, but if you're up early and you spend 2 to 3 hours working on yourself, that's a massive game changer. And if you can't do the 2 to 3 hours, guess what? You can start how I did it. I started with 10, 10, 10, 30 minutes a day, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of journaling, because that's all I had. But now I have a lot more time because I have a lot more freedom. I spend more time working on myself. So that's how you get yourself to an optimal state. Like I said, I just gave you guys mine so you guys can kind of have an idea. Pick and choose what works for you. Okay, and then go from there. But get yourself in an optimum state first, because remember, like I said at the beginning of this, you got to get yourself in personal momentum before you can have team and business momentum. So number one, get yourself in an optimum state of mind. Number two, find your passion. Okay, find your passion. And what do you mean by find your passion? What are you going to love to do in this specific season in your life? Okay, what's going to be the thing that you're going to wake up and it's not going to be a burden to go and do it? What's going to be that skill that you're going to focus on? What's going to be, the thing that you wake up and do every single day with love and passion, not a burden, not with hate. If you got to wake up and you hate to make the phone calls, you hate to post on social media, you feel like it's a burden to go and do those things, and you're not really doing something you love, right? What's going to be that specific skill set that you're going to focus on, you know, to become better in it, right? For me, one of the things that I focused on over the years was sales. Okay, how can I be better at sales? And I fell in love with the idea of sales, how to handle objections, okay, how to create FOMO for my people. All right. There's so many different things that come when it comes to sales that I could focus on, right? I love network marketing as well. I focused on mastering the skills of becoming a successful network marketer. Okay. For network marketing, you got to learn the skills of invitation, of edification, how to present, how to promote, how to close deals, okay, how to launch your business. So I focused on those skills. I really fell in love with those skills, right? There was times in my life where I focused on crypto, trading, e-commerce, all these different skill sets. But for that specific season, I was in love with what I was doing. Okay. So for you, what's going to be your focus? What's going to be your passion during this season of your life? Okay. What are you going to really, really focus on so that you can get better at that specific thing? Because the more you focus on something, the more it grows, right? They say that what you focus on grows. But also remember this: focus everywhere leads to focus nowhere. This is why you got to find your passion. What are you going to dedicate time, energy, and money to over this next season in your life? And what I would recommend is focusing on one.
All right, let's get this call started. Let's get it rocking. All right, guys, welcome to Mornings with Nano YouTube edition. Hope everybody is having a beautiful start to their day. I decided to do my session here today because I didn't want no connection issues. Hopefully, we're good on connection while we're here. I wanted to avoid any problems. I wanted to see maybe if this was the issue, maybe my office is too far from the Wi-Fi box, and that's maybe why we have so many connection issues. Um, but let me make sure that we understand the difference of what's happening here and is making sure. What's up, fam? Hope everybody's good over here. What's good, fam? But looking forward to it. We have a great call today. As you guys see, I titled the call today Lights, Camera, Identity. And this is going to be a great call. I hope you guys are ready for it. But before we do get started, I want to let you guys know getting back into my routine recently has been absolutely amazing. As you guys know, I told you guys the last couple of weeks before this week started, I had been slipping up on my routine. I wasn't all there. I've been very focused on building the business. So my routine wasn't all, connected and aligned. But starting back up Monday, I kind of got back into the groove of things. And let me tell you guys, I feel so good. I feel so aligned. everything just feels so amazing. And it just reminds me how important it is not to slip up on your routine, guys. This is something that's so key. We gotta make ourselves a priority. And the reason why I'm mentioning this to you guys right now is because I understand the importance of why you need to be focused on you through these processes, right? Because when you go a couple of days without pouring into yourself, you feel off, you feel disconnected, you feel like you're not aligned. But the moment that you start doing it again, you're back in alignment, you're back to that connection, you're back feeling good, feeling blessed. So I don't know who's on this call needs to hear this, but make sure that you're focused on you and making sure that you're making yourself a priority every single day. Do not slip up on you. Take it from me, who has slipped up a couple of times the last 2 weeks. And I had a valid excuse, but still not an excuse, right? I wanted you guys to know that, because I know how important it is for you to, put yourself in a position where you're always in alignment. Remember, in order for you to get the things that you want in life, you want to be in alignment with the things that you want so that they can come together. Before this, the 2 weeks that I spent not doing my routine, I wasn't in alignment. I was not in alignment. I want this, but I'm vibrating like this. Even though I was working hard, even though I was getting the results that I wanted, I'm not in alignment. I got to be in alignment with the things that I want. And this is so important that, each and every single one of us accomplish that. All right, guys. So I want to get into today's training. Today's training is titled, gracias, Kilsi, te quiero mucho. Today's title is Lights, Camera, and Identity. Lights, camera, and identity. Now, if you were to take a guess, what do you think today's training is about? If you were to take a wild guess, I want to see who could take a guess and what you guys think today's training is going to be about. Lights, camera, and identity. Can anybody guess? Mindset, yes. It's a broad topic. Let's see. Anybody else? Being seen, yes, to an extent. I just kind of want to see what some of your answers are. Lights, camera, being in the forefront as you, branding, spotlight on you, working on your identity. Yes, there you go, Cash. That's a good one. Being who you are when no one's watching. Absolutely. Not as everyone wants to be. Humbleness. Yes. Aligning with who you really are. How you identify yourself. Great answers, by the way. Our minds, ourselves, knowing who we are, knowing your true self within God and who you were meant to be. Yes. Great answers, everybody. So the other day I went to an event and I was listening to the speaker, and she talked about method acting. It was my biggest breakthrough of the whole event. This is why I always tell people, go to events, because you never know what you're going to learn at these events. So I go to this event, and her whole speech is about method acting. And she gives the example of how these actors in movies, they embrace the character of the movie. And the example she gave was the Joker in the movie The Batman, right? Does anybody love that movie, by the way? If I'm not mistaken, The Dark Knight Rises, I think it is the name of the movie. But the one where, the Joker, and she gives the example of how he embraced that role better than anyone could ever embrace that role. All right. And she was giving the example of how there's this thing that actors use called method acting. And let me explain what method acting is, right? So that you guys understand. Method acting is a technique that actors use to become more believable and emotionally connected to their characters by fully immersing themselves into the role, often by using real life experiences or feelings. Okay, this is important. I'm going to repeat this again. So method acting is a technique that actors use. Some of our favorite actors, right? One of my favorite actors is Denzel Washington. I love Denzel Washington, right? My favorite actor of all time, call it what it is. His name is James Spader. I don't know if you guys know who James Spader is, but he's the actor, the lead role in the show The Blacklist on Netflix. I don't know if you guys have ever watched The Blacklist on Netflix. Best show ever, in my opinion. Don't quote me on it, but I love James Spader. He is the GOAT for sure. To the point that I still watch YouTube shorts and reels of him all the time, like still to this day. But method acting, just so that everybody understands, is what actors use to become more believable and emotionally connected to their characters. All right. And they fully immerse themselves into the role. And they use real life experiences. So she starts to talk about this, and I'm like, okay, where's she going with this, right? Where is she going with this? So she starts talking about method acting, and she's explaining it and all of that. And then she starts talking about how we need to use method acting with the future version of ourselves. And I was like, okay, this is going deep. This is about to get deep, because you see, it's one thing for an actor, to fully immerse themselves into the role. Now, let me explain the concept fully immersing yourself, right? Let me chat GBT this real quick so I can give you guys the idea of how this actually works. Can you explain the idea of full immersion in simple terms, please? Right. I want to explain this to you guys so you guys understand what full immersion is. This is important for all of us to understand, because once I understood this, it made all the difference, right? Here's what it is, right? The idea of full immersion means being completely surrounded by and involved in something so much that it feels real that you forgot about the outside world. All right. So I'm going to repeat this again. The idea of full immersion means being completely surrounded by and involved in something so much that it feels real that you forget about the outside world. Now, what does that have to do with what we're talking about right now? I want you guys to practice this. This is something that I am currently practicing. Full immersion in the future version of Nano, the best version of Nano. How can you tap into that version of you? Because remember, the best version of Samaya, the best version of Ricardo, the best version of Sophia, of SG, of Eunice, of Emmy, of Natavia, the best version of your guys is a character. Because currently you're not there yet. So the person you want to be is a character, still a character yet. But the good thing is that you can fully immerse yourself into that version of that individual. You can start doing that now. You can identify who that person is, and you can start to become that person now. And when I understood that, that's when everything changed for me. You see, when I was living at my parents' house back in 2019, when I started to learn these tricks and tips, I learned about identity. I learned about self-image, which is what this is all about. And I remember hearing the idea of stepping into the version of Nano that I wanted to be, not the version of Nano that I was. Because the version of Nano that I was at the time, I was broke. I lacked confidence. I lacked belief. I had no relationship with God. I lacked discipline. Okay. There were so many things that I lacked that I was at the time. So I had to realize, and I had to become aware. I said, okay, this version of Nano is not going to be successful. This version of Nano has no confidence. He doesn't believe. He doesn't have a relationship with God. He has no discipline with his morning routine. He's not in the gym. He chooses comfort instead of being uncomfortable. So I realized that I was in an identity that no matter how much I wanted to be successful, I wouldn't have been successful because of who I was at the time. So then I realized that I had to make a shift. I had to make a change. And I remember one of my mentors sitting me down. They gave me a piece of paper and they said, Nano, I want you to identify the 10 characteristics of the future version of Nano, the absolute best version of Nano. And at the time, I was thinking about the six-figure version of Nano because I wasn't making six-figure at the time. I was making barely $2,000 a month. So I sit down and I start thinking about the six-figure version of Nano. You know, he's a man of God. He's disciplined. He's confident. He loves being uncomfortable, extremely resilient. All right. His belief level is all the way up. And I start to identify these things. He leads with love. I started identifying, I can't remember the exact 10, but I know that some of the ones that I just mentioned, I had on there. And I remember I wrote it down, boom, 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 and I passed the paper back. He's like, this is beautiful. This is beautiful right here. He looks at the list. I had 10 characteristics of the version of Nano I wanted to be. He said, what I want you to do is now, I want you to every day buy into these characteristics. You told me you want to be a man of God. I want you to start reading the word. I want you to go to church on Sundays. I want you to start doing what a man of God would do. You said you're disciplined, right? I want you to be disciplined with yourself. Before you can be disciplined with your business, before you can be disciplined with the gym, before you can be disciplined with everything else you want to be disciplined with, I want you to be disciplined with your morning routine, your self-development routine, the routine that's going to help you become better. So I started being disciplined. I wrote down I was resilient. What is being resilient? Resilient is, going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So I'm like, okay, now I am resilient. I'm not going to be the person that when I fail, I get cuddled up and I stop. A resilient person breaks through their failures, pushes through failure. So the next time I went through a failure, I pushed through it. And I started to sit there and individually, one by one, the consistency, leading with love, all of these things, I started to buy into that image. I started to buy into the image of the six-figure version of Nano. I started to buy into it. And remember, it wasn't an immediate shift. It wasn't an immediate shift. It was something I had to work on every day. Remember, every day I had to be a man of God. Every day I had to be disciplined. Every day I had to be resilient. Every day I had to be consistent. Every day I had to get uncomfortable. Every day I had to lead with love. Every day I had to step into that version of Nano. Every day I had to speak with confidence, show up with confidence. There was no days off on that. There was no days off on it. And anytime I caught myself going back to the old version of Nano, I had to catch myself and bring myself back. Because that's the important thing. It was the awareness of it. Because once you start stepping into that new version of you, when you catch yourself going back to the old ways, you got to catch it and bring yourself back. Because there's going to be moments of that, especially in the beginning. Because it's not like you make the decision and then automatically you're this new version of yourself and you never go back. No, trust me, you go back. You have moments where you go back. You have moments of doubt. You have moments of fear. You have moments. But then I would catch myself. For example, that's what I just did on Monday. I caught myself. Yo, Nano, you haven't been doing your morning routine for 2 weeks. The best version of Nano doesn't slip up for 2 weeks. The best version of Nano doesn't lack discipline on his morning routine. What did I do? I caught myself. Now I've been back into my routine 3 days in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's the awareness of it. Because I am aware that if I allow myself to go longer, Weeks turn into months, months turn into quarters, quarters turn into years. So I had to make the shift. I had to come back and remind myself, Nano, this is where you want to go. And I can't allow my results in life to blind me or cloud me from what I'm really supposed to be doing. Because yes, I'm happy. We're getting results. The team is growing. We're making money. Everything is going good. And you may think, well, Nano, everything is going good, bro. Maybe you should just chill and relax. Don't get caught up in it, because the same way you got the results is the same way you lose them if you're not good with yourself. So to continue with what I'm saying here is, I want you guys to, number one, and let's get into the training. I haven't even started the training. Let's start on how we can apply method acting into our everyday life. Let's talk about the 5 ways that you can step into method acting in everyday life. Number 1 is what my mentor did for me. I want you guys to do it as well. Number 1 is I want you to step into the identity that you want. In order for you to do that, you need to identify what that person looks like. Now, real quick, I want you in the chat box. What is one characteristic that the future version of yourself has that you currently are working on? Let me know in the chat box. What is one characteristic that the future version of yourself has that you're currently working on right now? Impeccable focus. Wow, what a beautiful answer. I love that. That was beautiful. Impeccable focus, confidence, patience, consistency, discipline, more consistency, follow through until completion, outspoken. I love that, Mer. More confidence, faith, takes action, more consistency, more confidence, discernment. I love that, Michael. Punctuality. That's a good one, Sharon. Boldness, SG. I love that. Consistency and leadership. Let's go, Lou. Budget. Yes. Patience. Intention. Communication. Self-belief. Unstoppable. These are all phenomenal answers. Relentless. These are all phenomenal answers. Now, what I want you to do is, remember what I just said. Number 1 is you got to step into the identity you want. Just like the actors step into that character and they become that character, become the version of you that you're aiming for. All right? Become that version of you now and start acting like that person now. Pamela, you said you want to be self-confident. I want you to be self-confident today. SG, you said you want to be bold. Let's be bold today. Sharon, you want to start working on your punctuality? Let's start practicing that today. What are you going to be punctual about today? Are you going to show up on time wherever you got to show up on time? Are you going to be punctual when you go to sleep tonight? Are you going to be punctual with your whatever schedule you got to follow today? La Tierra, you said you want to take action. The future version of you takes action, right? So let's identify 3 things that you're going to take action on today. What are 3 things you're going to take action on today? Don't wait till the call is over. I want you to answer this right now in your notebook. I want you to write down, think of 3 things right now that you're going to take action on today. Whether that's read a book, go to the gym, make a phone call. Let's act fast. Let's act fast. Impeccable focus, right? Let's start thinking about these things. Let's identify who it is that we want to be, and let's start stepping into the version of ourselves. Because one of the things I see a lot here is confidence. All right? I see a lot of people saying, yo, I want to be more confident. Not masking my personality and dimming my own light. We need that version of Mer. So I want you to ask yourself, and this goes for you as well, Mer, on the call, and for everybody that wants to practice more confidence, how does the confident version of you walk, speak, think, act? Because that, you know what the thing is, guys, that confident version of you is already inside you. Isn't that crazy when you actually think about it? The confident version of you is already inside of you. It's already inside of you. You just have to let it come out. I have this training that I do. It's called the 4 C's of confidence. And you know what the first C of confidence is? Courage. The ability to do things that frighten you. The ability to do the things that frighten you. That's the first C of confidence. That's what helps you build confidence, doing the things that you once thought you couldn't do. I had no confidence in my speaking, guys, at one point. No confidence. I had an experience. Some of you guys may have heard this, obviously, because some of you guys have been here with me for a long time. But some of you have probably heard the story of my first experience in speaking when I was in college. I took a public speaking class in college, and my first public speaking class, I step in and they make us do a personal object speech where you have 30 seconds to talk about a personal object. At the time, I had my baseball glove because I had just got out of practice. And I go up there in front of the classroom, maybe 20, 30 people, and everyone is looking at me. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I just stand up there and I start talking about my glove, but I am shaking. My voice is cracking. I'm stuttering. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. And I was so embarrassed by the experience that after that, it tainted me. It was almost like a traumatic experience for me. And after that, I had a fear of speaking. And then I joined, my network marketing business. And as you guys know, if you decide to build a network marketing business, you have to speak. You have to put yourself in front of the room. You have to give speeches. And I wanted to be successful in network marketing. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, Nano, if you want to make a lot of money in this, you're going to have to speak. But I have this fear in my heart from the experience that I had in college. So my confidence was 0 when it came to speaking. 0. But you know what I had to do? I had to have the courage. I had to have the courage to put myself out there and speak and speak and speak and speak. And I did it. And I did it. And believe it or not, you know how I started? With Zoom calls. That's how I started building my confidence, on Zoom calls. I started with Zoom calls, just doing Zoom calls with 1, 2, 5, 10 people. This was before Mornings with Nano. I'm talking to you guys back in 2017, 2018. I didn't start Mornings with Nano until 2019. So I started on Zoom calls, just talking on Zoom calls. And when I had to do them in person, you guys forgive me for this, but believe it or not, I was so nervous when I had to speak in person. There was 2 things I had to do before I spoke in person. Number 1, I had to meditate every time to calm my nerves down, because I used to get so nervous before speaking in public, like in person, that I had to meditate, breathe 10 minutes. And believe it or not, I had to take a shot. Had to take a shot or 2 to calm my nerves down. Because I had this thing that once I have a couple of drinks in me, I was a little bit more loose. I was a little bit more, outgoing and stuff like that. So I had to take either 1 or 2 shots. So it's crazy, but it worked. It actually worked. And it was kind of like my little ritual. No, you guys won't, I don't do it anymore, but it's like I would meditate, I would calm myself down, and then I would take 2 shots. I would, if I was in the area of where like I could go take a shot at the bar, I would literally go take a shot at the bar. I would spend 10, $20 to take 2 shots. Boom. Because that was my way of, okay, all right, I'm ready now. I'm ready. And it would kind of get me like good, and it would kind of loosen me up a little bit. And that was back in the day, that was kind of like my way of, whew, okay, letting it go. Because usually, if you guys ever been around me and if you ever had a couple of drinks with me, you'll know that once I'm a little tipsy or whatever and I'm feeling good, okay, I'm very outgoing. I'm very talkative. I love to talk and I love to express myself. And that's what speaking is all about. Speaking is all about talking and expressing yourself and, being in a good mood. But the idea of speaking would tense me up so much, right? It would tense me up so much. And I didn't like it. I didn't like what it would make me feel. I'm not here to say that you guys got to go take shots to do, to speak. I'm just giving you guys my story of how I was able to overcome the fear of speaking that I had. That was kind of like what I did, and it worked. It worked. I don't do it anymore. Now I speak, and I can't remember the last time I took a shot, to be honest, right? I think the last time I took a shot was out in Tulum with the family. But, back in the days, those were the things I had to do. And then, but the reason why I share that is courage. I had to do the things that frightened me. And I did it enough. I meditated enough. I took enough shots that eventually I was like, I got this, bro. I don't got to meditate anymore. Eventually, the nerves started to leave. Eventually, I didn't need the shot anymore. It was just another day. But it was because I put myself in situations where I had to show my courage enough that it became easy. And this is what's important. So if you want to step into a more confident version of yourself, do the things that frighten you. That I remember at the time too, one thing I used to do, I wasn't confident about putting my face on camera. So what I would do is I started these things that were called the Nuggets with Nano, morning nuggets. So what I would do is I would read a book. I would read every day. And every day I would take at least one paragraph or one thing that I learned from my reading that morning, and I would share it on my story at the time. And I would be like, hey, what's up, guys? Grand Rising. I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm back today with Nuggets with Nano in the morning, and boom. And I would share, today in my book, I learned about method acting and boom, 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 boom. And I was doing that every day because I had a fear of putting my face on camera. It all had to do with my ability to speak. I started to do the things that made me uncomfortable. Like I said, I was stepping into the version of me that I wanted to become, but I had to have the courage. I had to have the courage to do it. And this is so important for all of us to understand. You got to step into that version of you. And this is so key. So the first step is identify the person you want to become. Very important. Number 2, use real emotions for the impact. You got to use real emotion. Draw from real experiences when you speak, when you teach, when you lead, when you do all these things. Use real emotions. This is important. Step into it for real. How would the future version of you speak? How would he feel? How would she act? Right? What characteristics does that person have, and speak like that person? When I looked at the future version of Nano, the future version of Nano was always grateful. Always grateful. So you know what it was? I was always grateful for everything. I started to practice gratitude at an all-time high because I understood the importance of gratitude. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Stepping into it, stepping into it, stepping into it. I led with love. So now I no longer, had hate in my heart for anybody or held grudges against anybody. My thing was lead with love, Nano. Lead with love, lead with love, lead with love. Add emotion to it because, like we always say, the feeling is the secret. Number 1 was step into the identity you want. Step into the identity you want. So use real emotion, guys. It's important. This was something that As a matter of fact, right now I'm paying to learn about how to tell my story. And recently I learned, don't just tell your story, relive your story. That was a big one for me. Don't just tell your story, relive your story. Because a lot of us, we just tell our story. Oh, I grew up in Washington Heights. I'm 30 years young, so on and so forth. And we just tell our story. But what if you could relive that story? What if you can add the details of the story, the moments of pain in the story? What if you can start off the story at rock bottom, where everything changed for you, and you can describe the emotion that you feel to the point that you can almost get yourself on stage to feel it, where everybody is feeling it as well. And you know what it is? I know how that feels because I watched my teacher do it when he was telling his story about the phone call that he got from his sister, that she told him that she has stage 4 cancer, and how he sat there and froze. And the way he described the moment, I felt like I was living the moment. I felt like I was there watching the movie with him. He said, I've told this story 1,000 times, and 1,000 times I feel the same emotion. I could see that he was about to shed a tear because of how much he was reliving the moment. He put himself back in the moment. You see, the same way that you can go back to a moment and relive it, I know that there's something right now that if you were to relive, you could probably get yourself to cry. Does anybody have a moment like that? Put a 2 in the chat box. Does anybody have a moment right now in their life that happened in the past that if you were to go back to it and you were to relive it and like actually relive it and put yourself in the moment again, could you get yourself to shed a tear? You see how we can do that though, right? I have moments like that right now that if I start talking about it and I start vividly imagining the moment, I can easily start shedding a tear on this call. Easily, I can shed a tear on this call. And believe it or not, guys, you use your imagination with that, right? Ray in the chat said vividly. Vividly. Just happened yesterday, if we be in 100, Zion said. Where you sit down and you just visualize this moment, you think about the moment, you feel the emotions of the moment. The same way you could do it with the past, you could do it with the future though. You see, I've sat on my visualizations and I visualized my future as well. I've sat there and I visualized myself handing the keys to my mom and dad. I've already visualized it. I've already seen myself driving my parents. Let me go show you guys this house that I'm looking at. Let me go show you guys it. And I walk up and we walk up to the house and I just see my parents looking at this big, beautiful house. And they're looking at it and they're talking about how nice the house is. And then I take out the keys out of my pocket and I hand it to them and I tell them that it's theirs. And I could see the happiness in their eyes. I can see the tears coming out of my father's eyes. I could feel the hugs and the emotion in their heart beating as they hug me. And I've cried in visualizations, visualizing those things. Because the same way you can visualize the past is the same way you can visualize the future. I swear. That hasn't happened yet. In my mind, it's happened, but in the physical, it hasn't happened yet. How can I create it so vividly? I visualize myself on stage at the bottom step, waiting for my name to get called out. And I see my brother Matt Rosa, my mentor, on stage, edifying me, talking about his manito and the stories and how his wife called it out and was like, yo, put him under your wing. And he's telling the whole story. And I'm just seeing the thousands of people. And I see it. And I'm at the bottom step waiting. And I see myself suited up. And he says, and now New leader, boom, 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 earning just hit $50,000 a month. Boom. And I walk up on stage and I see myself walking up the steps and I see his big smile and I dap him up and we do our handshake and I hug him and I hear him in my ear. Literally, I hear him in my ear. I'm proud of you, Manito. You deserve this, bro. You're like, I'm talking about it and I'm seeing it. And then I hear the chants, like Tia said, the neno, neno, ne. I hear it and I just take it all in. The same way that I could visualize the past, I can visualize the future. And I could feel the emotions in the moments. I could feel the emotion in the moment. I can live the moment like if it's actually happening. We need to do more of that. I'm telling you. I love you too, my brother, for real, for real. I'm telling you guys, you can start to create the future version of you. I promise you guys, the life that you want to live, you can start creating it, but you got to get emotionally involved with it. Some of us, we spend too much time emotionally involved in the things that happen to us and the things that are currently happening to us. But how many of us are emotionally involved with the things that are going to happen for us in the future? Keeping it 1,000 with you guys, dude, I cry at least a couple times a month. But I cry tears of joy because I get so involved, so immersed in the experiences of the things that I got to live in the future that I get myself to cry. Not tears of pain, tears of joy. We did it. We accomplished it. I visit my future version all the time. I was visiting my future version today. I sat there and I visualized it. As a matter of fact, I wrote it down. I wrote it down today. It was part of my journaling today. Listen to this. Thank you, God. You get all the praise and you get all the glory. Today, I wake up as a diamond leader, earning an extra $50,000 a month in residual income. I currently have 5 directors on my team earning over $10,000 a month. The team is strong and is growing daily, and the community just surpassed 3,000 plus members. I feel amazing and extremely grateful for the opportunity to lead. My speaking career is taking off. I am being booked 3 to 5 times a month by different companies. I am being paid $10,000 for each speech. My courses are selling. My workshop and retreats are selling out the moment they drop. I am starting a speaking agency where I help speakers get paid to speak all around the world. I'm earning $100,000 plus a month in earned income. Life is truly amazing. My mom and dad are retired. They're healthy and they're happy. They're living in the house that I always promised them. It took time, but it was worth the wait. Now I get to travel the world with them and do my best to pay them back for everything they did for me. Even though it's not possible, all I ask God is give them a long, healthy life so they can enjoy their lives while I give them everything they deserve. I am so grateful for this beautiful, peaceful, and abundant life that I get to enjoy. You get all the glory, Father. I'm just one of your disciples. You are my vine and I am your branch. And I put a heart. That was a quick little journal entry that I wrote this morning. I'm buying into this. This is not just a desire. This is done for me already. It's just a matter of me stepping into it. And the only reason I didn't keep writing was because it was time to start Mornings with Nano. Because I really wanted to keep going. I'm like, yo, there's so much more I can write about. There's so much more I can write about. I didn't talk about where I'm living. I didn't talk about, I didn't even get into details. Eventually you want to get into the details, where I'm waking up, the car that I'm driving, where I'm traveling to, the people we're impacting. I could have wrote a whole book on a visualization. But you got to step into the emotions. So that's step number 2, which is using real emotions for the future version of you. All right. Number 3. This one is important. Create an environment that supports the role. Create the environment that supports the role. I've always told you guys, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If it's in sight, it's in mind. Guys, paste your goals in your, I would walk right now to my bathroom mirror, but I don't want to do that. Paste them, put them in different places. I should be able to walk into your room, into your office, into your house, and I should know where you want to go and where you want to live based off of what I see in your room. I should know what your goals are based off of that. Do you have a vision board? Do you have your goals written everywhere? Okay, look, I created a digital vision board. Let me show it to you guys. I have it right here on my desktop. You guys may not be able to see all of it. This is my digital vision board. I created this. A lot of it, some of it I've lived, some of it I haven't, but some of it I've already seen it. Down here on the left-hand side, if you guys can see, that's my house in La Jolla, San Diego, California, right on the water. At the time I created this like 2 years ago. I don't think I want a Lamborghini truck anymore. There's another truck that I want, but it's there. It's all about the vibration. This is my favorite watch. I want this watch. I'm going to buy a condo here on the Bentley Tower. This is where I'm going to buy my condo. I actually went and sat down in the office where the Bentley Tower is. This is me speaking on stages up here. I'm a huge baseball guy, so obviously going to a World Series and experiencing a World Series would be amazing. This is my favorite car of all time. It's called the Pagani. This is $1 million car. Like, this is like dream car. I used Canva for this. This is my dream car. Like, incredible, like next level stuff. And this is obviously materialistic stuff for the most part. This is my penthouse condo kind of thing right here, how it's gonna look. Right here, I had family, snowboarding, my relationship with God. This is one of my favorite pictures right here. I know you guys can't see it because the camera is covering it, but this is the picture where, God has the teddy bear, the big teddy bear behind his back, and he's telling me, yo, trust me, let go of the little one. I got something bigger for you. The picture next to that, that's Bali. I've always wanted to go to Bali. This is Fiji right here, the beach, the palm tree. I've always wanted to go to Fiji. Rolls Royce, I've been in many of these already. All right, but I created this years ago. And you know what's funny? And then I got the Bitcoin right there. I got the Bitcoin because I want to own a lot of crypto. I do own a lot already, but I want to own even more. I have a yacht here as well and a couple of other things. But I created this. Why? Just so that one day I'll be looking back and I'll be like, check, 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 check. Got this, got that. Relationship with God, check. Rolls Royce, got it, check. I've traveled to Fiji. I've been to Bali, check. This, check. I got the car. I got this. Maldives, check. All this, check. Just check. At the end of the day, we live life so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. So why not? Why not have those things there? And I got to get a new one. That's a vision board that I created 2 years ago. My vision board now will be a little bit different, to be honest. If I had it now, it'd be a little bit different. But why do I have that there? Because that is part of my environment. Every time I open up my laptop, I have that there. That's so key. So create an environment where you can always see your goals. You should be able, that was so beautiful. I am your vine and you're, no, God is my vine and I am the branch. Yeah, that I learned that today in my Bible, reading John 15. That was one of the most beautiful and most impactful Bible studies that I've had in my life was this morning. So beautiful. But you got to step into it. A lot of it also as well is the clothes you wear. It's part of your environment, believe it or not. Guys, I've shown you guys pictures of Nano when he was broke. I was already dressing like if I was already rich. But I was broke though. But you know what I was doing? It was part of my environment. I was stepping into it. The environment is everything. So that's number 3, is create the environment. And then last but not least, number 4. I said 5, but it's really 4. Because 2 and 3 were very similar, so I just skipped it. Last but not least, number 4, and this was the most important key that when I was teaching, when she was teaching this leader, when she was teaching, she said this, and this was the most key. Write this down. You can't break character. You can't break character. That was the most important point that she made when she taught it. Don't break character. You got to stay in character the whole time. Because when you break character, you got to start all over. Imagine if your favorite actor in the middle of the movie broke character. Imagine if we watched the Joker go from the Joker to who he really is, which is, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but imagine if he just started acting like the regular version of him in the movie. We would realize that immediately. Exactly. When you break character, the movie stops being real. You can't break character. Doesn't matter. You have to literally stay in that character of you as long as you can until it becomes the reality. When I read that and when she said that, I was like, man. And here's the thing. Great method actors, they stay in character even when cameras aren't rolling. That's how committed they are to the character. That's how great they are. That even when the cameras aren't rolling, they stay in that character. And you can do the same. Remember, guys, you can't just act confident when it's easy. You got to stay in that energy in the tough times too. This helps you build identity, fam. You can't say, oh, Nano, I want to be disciplined, and then times get hard and you stop being disciplined. You can't say you want to be resilient and then you deal with a couple of failures and you stop. You can't say you want to be courageous and then you get faced with an opportunity to show your courage and you stop showing it. You got to stay in character. Your character is being tested. The same way we say that our faith is tested so that we can be trusted is the same way that your character is tested to see if you can be trusted with the person you want to be. And let's all be real. We've broken character a lot in our lifetime. We haven't stayed in character. I'm telling you right now, Jayana, you're on the call. I see you in there stepping back into character. When you guys step back into character and you don't break character and you do it for long enough, your dreams will become a reality. The problem is you're letting yourself break character way too much. You break character way too much. And you know what? That message is as much for you as it is for me because I break character. Me spending 2 weeks not doing my routine, I broke character right there. The best version of Nano doesn't allow that to happen. So I'm not here screaming at you guys and holding you guys accountable and telling you guys to do things that, look, I make the same mistakes. This is easier to teach it than it is to do it. We're in this together. We're in this together. We can't allow. As a matter of fact, you know what's the real statement here? We can't afford to break character. There's not one of you guys that are on this call. We have over 100 people on this call this morning. None of us can afford to break character. None of us. We can't afford it. Am I right or am I wrong? Put a 2 in the chat box if I'm right. You know why we can't afford it? Because our families are counting on us. Our kids are counting on us. The future version of us is counting on us. God is counting on us. There's so many people that are counting on us. You can't break character. You got to step into it and stay in it. It almost has to be a sin to break character. You have to treat it like if it was a sin. I'm telling you, don't break character, guys. And those are the 4 ways that you can use method acting on a day-to-day basis. Number 1, identify the person you want to become. Number 2, use real emotion for the impact. Number 3, create the environment that supports the role. And then last but not least, number 4 is don't break character. Stay in it. That's the key. Once you do that, life will be life-changing. All right, guys. So that's my training for today. I'm going to wrap it up right there. I hope that you guys were able to get an insane amount of value and breakthroughs and quantum leaps. I was looking through my notes yesterday, and, I was watching. As a matter of fact, I was studying the Blacklist. I started doing my research, and I'm like, yo, how did this guy like get so good at acting like this? And then I remember the idea of method acting. And then I remember that I went to an event that they talked about method acting. And I'm like, that's going to be my training tomorrow. I'm going to give them a full training on method acting because I need to remind myself of it myself. This training was as much for me as it was for you. So it's important that we all understand that. So let's continue to win. Let's continue to elevate, guys. Is it hard to find topics to share sometimes? Yeah, especially when you do 5 calls a day. 5 calls a week, 20 calls a month. It does get, you don't want to be repetitive also. So, I'm almost forced to read a lot and go to different events and do everything that is required so I can always have different topics and also read the room, find out where we all are as well. So it's not that it's difficult. It's just sometimes you just got to work around it and find out what people want to hear and hope that it relates, right? But from what it seems, it looks like we all needed this, right? So put a 444 in the chat if you got value from today's training. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. Love you, Lou, my brother. Thank you for hopping on, man. And with that being said, guys, that wraps it up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. If you know somebody that needs to hear this message this morning, send it to them. Be like, yo, here, go listen to this training today. Lights, camera, identity. It could be a big game changer for people, right? As you guys know, I do a little prayer before we all ride. So I'm gonna do a little prayer today. I'm gonna just practice some gratitude and just give God all the glory and all the thanks for everything, and then we'll end it right there. So quick prayer. Father God, just want to say thank you so much for allowing us to wake up on this beautiful Wednesday morning. We feel so good and we feel so blessed to be in your presence. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for keeping us healthy. Thank you for the wisdom and the knowledge that you pour into us each and every single day. Thank you for helping us become aware of who it is that we are, but also who it is that we want to become. And we want to become more like you, God. We want to lead like you. We want to have strength like you. We want to be able to love people like you do, Father, and forgive people like you do, God. So every single day we are committed to growing and becoming more like you, Father. And we're just so grateful for the roadmap that you've given us to do exactly that. We're here to serve your purpose, and we're just so grateful for all the work that you're doing on us each and every single day, day in and day night. You are working overtime on all of us, and we just want you to know, and I speak on behalf of the whole entire community, we are beyond grateful and thankful for all that you're doing for us, God. So thank you for it all. We don't want to ask for anything today. We just want to say thank you for your love, your guidance, and your protection in this season. We're going to keep working hard so that we can be the example we want to see in the rest of the world. We love you. We appreciate you. We give you all the glory and all the praise. And in God's name we pray. Amen, amen, amen. Neno is our virtual dad, LOL. That's a good one. Virtual dad. I like that. I like the virtual dad idea. It's pretty cool. I take responsibility in that. Some people on this call could literally be my dads because they're older than me. But I guess we all show each other love regardless. But with that being said, guys, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for real. Thank you guys for hopping on consistently 5 days a week. I really don't even take that for granted at all. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. And remember, don't break character. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 10:15 a.m. God bless. Thank you, fam. God bless.